I'm going to call this meeting to order for the Board of Directors at 7:05 p.m. on March 2nd, 2023. For roll call, present we have Rachel, Jake, myself, Elizabeth, Veronica, RJ, and Lance. Excused, we'll say, well, Dawn and Missy. Dawn told me he wasn't going to be here. Missy is trying to get on. And for unexcused, we have Josh and CJ. Have the people who are currently on the board, have you had a chance to review the minutes? Can we make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
I'll motion.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll second.
Who was that?
Veronica.
Oh, okay, thanks. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. We're going to kind of go out of order. For some reason, the committee reports, I meant to have this in opposite order. So we're going to go with the board appointments. And we're going to do the appointment of the new board members first, just to make sure that we have a quorum to reappoint the existing board members. So we have Rachael Caskey and Jake Druga, who have been working with us on different committees. So we had decided as a board to approach them about becoming board members. So what we have to do now is to make an official vote to appoint them to the board. So does somebody want to make a motion to appoint? Why don't we just make a motion to, somebody want to make a motion to appoint both of them in one vote?
I so move.
And I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, so we'll do this. Okay, so now Jake and Rachel, welcome to the board. Thank you guys so much. You're both able to now make motions and vote on our agenda. So the next point is we're going to have to do board reappointments, retention of board members. So right now we have Veronica, Elizabeth, Josh, and CJ are all up for retention. I'd like someone to make a motion to have them retained until the end of November to keep it in line with everybody else. That way we can just vote for retaining everyone at the same time. Does somebody want to make a motion to retain all of these people at once? Otherwise we can go one by one. Okay.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, hearing none, the motion carries. All right, so now we'll go back up to our committee reports. Marketing and social media, Elizabeth.
Am I covering the one we just had?
Yeah, the last two. Or that's right, you weren't at the. Wait, were you at the last one? Yeah, you were. basically the last couple months.
Yeah, so they all kind of blur together.
Hmm.
But we talked about at the last board meeting merging the committees that went through and working on the content calendar. We did not have a successful month with that, if I'm being very honest. Little lackluster. We all kind of missed some things throughout the month, but in our meeting tonight, kind of moving forward, we talked about maybe bringing on an intern either from the high school, college level, or just somebody in the community that's interested that needs it on their resume, or hiring a social media coordinator that would be a volunteer position. We'd take them through an interview process and make it all legit and help them with college credit if they are at the collegiate level, just so that it's coming from one person, and they'd work on the website as well, updating events, because that takes out a large chunk of Brian's time. And I think the way that we set it up this most recent time, some were pulling their weight more than others, and it just got a little bit too confusing with who's posting, if their content isn't done, how do we post? So that's kind of where we left that one off. Brian, do you want to talk about your piece of it with the new podcast and everything?
Yeah, I'm going to be rolling out a podcast this summer called the New Pittsburgh Exposition, and it is going to be a podcast that covers ongoing exhibits at museums and galleries, and could be, even in other community spaces. And it would talk to not only historians and artists, but also curators and other people involved in the exhibition. Yeah, it'll be an interview podcast. That some episodes will vary, but could have several interviews, but it'll be like focusing on one specific thing. So that's something I'm looking to roll out. Also, Rachel and I need to get together, and Jake is interested in getting involved in this too, with the with the Museum Disco podcast. And so we have to get rolling on that, get a list of items. RJ and I are going to be working on getting the art talks rolling this summer. So we're basically going to try to do mass interviews and get things set up, so that way we're set up for the year, since his schedule has changed some. So that's all going on. And I will say, just put this out there, because the board should be aware, this committee is also exploring options about possibly rebranding, and we will we're not going to get too much into that right now, because we'll put together a proposal for the next board meeting, but it's just something that you should be aware of, that it's something that we're thinking about. So and I guess would that be it, Elizabeth, or is that?
Yeah, I think so. Covered the podcast, covered the rebranding. We'll leave that up for you guys to be surprised as well once we iron out the details. And then just kind of moving forward on more of a strategic plan almost about what we can do to really nail down the content schedule. Because I think with so many people having it all hands on, it's just kind of getting lost in translation.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you for that. Strategic planning and budgeting. We didn't have a meeting this cycle. Just we weren't able to get people together, but I will say that Jake and I are going to be meeting to try to come up with a budget idea that we can use towards grant writing and things like that. And then both he, I, and Elizabeth will coordinate in applying for grants and things like that. So that's kind of the only update we have, but no real report for that. Fortunately, CJ is not here. I'm not sure what's going on for sponsorship and sponsor engagement. So the only thing I could say is we did talk at our meeting about our last meeting about trying to come up with some. Well, we really didn't have a meeting. We kind of had some people talking back and forth. We weren't able to connect, but we were talking about just trying to come up with some hardcore goals, because we've talked about ideas, but we haven't really set a lot of strong goals. And I expressed to the committee that I kind of need them to to come up with those because sponsorship is not my strongest area, and without like anything I've done in the past in terms of sponsorship, there was an event, so there was, you had some ideas on when you needed things in order to pay for things for the event. So this is kind of a different beast than what I'm used to. So I talked about that, and then we also decided to move our sponsorship meetings from the first Wednesday of the month to the second Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. following the event planning meeting. So all right, community outreach and event planning. Rachel. Oh,
Okay,
wait, hold on one sec. Jake, did you have something? Oh, you're good? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Rachel.
okay, so our last meeting was April 13th, I believe. That's what I'm pulling up here. So correct me if I'm wrong. So we at that point had for the cycling church tour coming up on May 13th, we had St. Augustine Church in Lawrenceville confirmed, as well as First Lutheran. I don't know, did you hear back about St. Nicholas Church, Northside Institutional, and Holy Spirit?
Yeah, they're all on. They're all
They're
on
all-
board.
Okay, great. So we were saying that everyone would need to be to St. Augustine's by 1 p.m. I provided a flyer, and I think, Brian, you were using that flyer to get that out as well. I sent that over to
Yeah.
you.
I mostly just used, I just have done social media marketing on it. That's all I've done. So I didn't pay for any printings, but right now we have, excluding you, me, and Brian Evans, who's the pastor of First Lutheran, because I imagine he'll be biking with us as well. He's a big cyclist fan.
Okay.
So excluding those people, we have 8 people signed up so far. I want to get, I'd like to get between 15 to 20. It doesn't really matter. I mean, as long as we have a nice enough group that, we're not wasting anyone's time by coming to those churches. But, if we can get 15 to 20, that's, I haven't shared it to any of the bike groups yet. So that's just from our own Facebook group, our newsletter, and we have a listing in the events section for Bike Pittsburgh and for the city paper. So that's just been from that. It hasn't, and I spent $20 on Facebook advertising, and that's the most I've spent on this. And I also bought some
Charging $2, right? To include the one free ticket, drink ticket at church.
Minimum $20 donation. So far, everyone has given the minimum, except for like there's a few people who have given 25. And there's one person who hasn't given anything yet. So I don't know. We can talk about that next week, whether we want to be like, hey, pay us.
I'm gonna get mine in.
What's that?
But
What'd you say?
I know where to find me. So,
Yeah. Well, the thing is we're all like, organizing. You and I are volunteering and organizing, but
right.
no.
All right.
And
So
if he doesn't pay, I'm not going to say anything to him because he saved us in some regards, because he told me about those bicycle cleats, which I knew nothing about.
yeah.
It could have been a disaster if everybody walked in there and like scratched up all these church floors with their cleats.
Oh yeah, that's so true.
He's the one that suggested that. Because I didn't even know that existed. They have these cleats that clip into the bike pedals, and and like a lot of major cyclists use those, and I didn't even know, because I'm not a major cyclist, so I didn't even know those existed. But yeah, he's like, if you walk on the marble floor with those, you'll scratch up this like ancient historic floor. So that was part of some part of the application I put in, is people had to check mark either that they acknowledge that they have to take their shoes off to go in, or that they aren't going to have those cleats. So,
Okay, that's good to know.
yeah.
And is Josh on the line? Did we hear back from biking?
I don't think we did. I never heard anything from them. So
Okay.
No.
All right, because we were just trying to get them for like, see if they could donate supplies or something for that. So
Yeah.
that cycle tour, and then we were talking about the tea party in the park in July. And I believe you were reaching out to Pittsburgh Conservancy. So that's a little further out, but you know, that's gonna be right around the corner. I mean, we're already in
Yeah.
May. So and you have your contact Danielle at the tea shop in Millvale you were gonna reach out to. So that's kind of where we are with that as well. And yeah, so unless you have any more updates, that's where we are with everything.
Nope, I think that's about covers it. And forgive us, board, but our meeting is the week after the board meeting, so there's some stuff that's like in flux. We haven't had a meeting beforehand like everyone else, so that's why we're more on the fly.
Yes.
Cool. Website management and technology. Do you have any report, Veronica?
Not other than I started trying to switch us over to Squarespace, 7 point whatever it is, 2. It's a big switch because it's like a completely different back-end content management situation than the like legacy version that we're on. So it will require like copy pasting over the content and just making sure that's all good. But I haven't gotten too far with it. I just wanted to see, just like poking around to see what would be involved with that move. And then, I mean, now that we're kind of talking through a potential rebrand, I think that could make it easier slash, you know, wouldn't want to have to redo all that. If something does transpire there, sorry, dogs. But yeah, that's the update so far from my end.
What did you think of the Band-Aid that I put out there temporarily?
I think it's good. Yeah, I think that helps to kind of, you know, simplify things a bit, make it a little easier. I'm so sorry. My dogs are losing their minds.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think it makes it a little, oh my gosh. You'll have to come back to me.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to accept the committee reports? Okay, Jake. Somebody want to second them?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay, we'll skip down past board appointments, move into new business. Okay, so office space. This is a point of new business. I met with EV Bischoff, which is they own several buildings downtown. And I got some pricing from them that we could use. Not that we have to go with them, but it gets us some ideas on what to throw in for the budget. Let me pull up what they have here. They sent me a form and I couldn't read any of the pricing. So the range is the price range for the offices that I looked at were from $390 a month to $666.30 a month. And those prices include all utilities, including Wi-Fi, and has a printer there that we would be able to access in like a shared conference room and things like that. So that's something to consider when we're putting in our budget as a possible option. Honestly, like if you're looking at a co-working space to get a desk, to get a blocked room in a co-working space, you're honestly looking at least that at $390 is probably even less than what you would pay for that. So and this kind of almost works as a co-working space in the sense that there is a shared conference room. So I think not necessarily that we have to go with them, but I think like something like that is going to be hard to find elsewhere. So that's just something to consider if we get a grant. And then I was looking at that business wise in the agenda, but we can like take that out because I misunderstood what they were advertising on their website. I saw these prices and I was like, there has to be a catch. This is like too good to be true. And in the fine print, it says it's a price per day, not per month. And I'm like, that makes more sense because I'm looking at those prices and I was like, that's crazy. So yeah, so that we can just take off. I'm not even gonna talk to them. So also in new business, internship, I had put down that we could explore bringing on an intern once we have an office space, but we were just talking in the social media content creation meeting that I guess like things have changed since when I last had an intern, and there are a lot more remote work options. So we're going to look into that. One thing I wanted to ask you, Lance, since you're on the call, is one of my concerns with bringing in an unpaid intern is any potential liability, because I know like at least in radio broadcasting, a lot of those companies have gotten rid of internships altogether because of like lawsuits over working without getting paid through free internships. And I'm just want to make sure would we be opening ourselves up to any kind of liability if we brought on an intern? Lance might have stepped away. Okay, we'll get back to him on that. We'll move on to grant applications. So I'm going to meet with Jake and Elizabeth. We're going to I'm going to meet with Jake, and then we're going to conference with Elizabeth to try to get some of these things rolling. Jake and I are going to work on creating a budget, which will help us, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on with that. Also, under B, if you look at the agenda, it says Slack with a question mark because most of the people just don't utilize Slack at all in this group. We have a Slack and it's just not being utilized. So I wanted to see if maybe we should move away from Slack and see if there's a better platform that works for people. Just this morning, Veronica and I were talking about a Google chat that could load right in your Gmail when you open up Gmail. And with that, you would be able to attach files and everything right in there. Is that something that people think they would be more amenable to than Slack?
I'm definitely more of a fan of the Google platform.
Because we can also assign tasks too, kind of like the Asana, which is nice too. Is everybody, and there's an app you can download just like
That's a great idea.
I think that'll work.
Yeah, I'm down.
Me
RJ,
too.
Lance?
Yep.
Hey, if you guys don't use it, we're coming to your houses.
That's right.
I use Slack so much, no one's coming to my house. I love these messaging programs.
You're a car user.
Oh God.
Okay, cool. So we'll move forward with that. Let me add that in here. Excellent. Yeah, that'll be great because that's one of like the big things that like I always am like just the communication. So like if we all get on a platform that we all like, that will make life so much easier because then we won't have to be running around trying to like. Because I'm contacting people on like multiple different platforms because some people respond this way, some respond that way. So this will be nice if we all are on one. So cool. I'm excited about that. Another thing for old business, and this was my fault in some ways because I forgot to remind everyone, but we had decided last meeting to have all committee reports in writing a week prior to the board meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an event on Google Calendar with just the committee chairs that will just be like a week before saying like, hey, here's your reminder, just to send in a written thing that we can just, that's something we can attach to the agenda for people, because I do post our meeting minutes now on the website under the board with a video of the call. So this way people will have that information, and it just makes us, not only does it make us more transparent, but it also helps us as board members to be able to see what's going on in the actual, instead of my scribbling during the meeting, something that's a little better prepared. So so that's just a reminder. Also, old business, affiliate website access for adding events, and make it a perk to being an affiliate. I did roll out with that, and we do have at least one, multiple people have said they're interested. They haven't accepted the invitation yet. One person has, Bushy Run, which is great, because every time they send me an email, they plan events, but they don't iron out the times yet. So a lot of times, like when I get their emails, I can't add it to the calendar, and by the time I get the date, like the actual start time for the events, it's too late, because I only update the calendar once or twice a week. So sometimes I'll get it and it's really too late for me to add it. So with them being able to just go in and add it, that will help. And it's also, if Vonka ends up signing on, that will help, because I know, like, a lot of times they don't send emails out or press releases, and then their stuff misses our calendar. So and both of these groups, they're run by a small group of people. So they don't have, they're kind of in a situation like we are, where they don't have the resources to do everything that they need to. So this will help them to be able to better utilize what we offer. And just as they're updating their own website, they'll be able to just go in and update ours as well as they're updating their own. So that's cool. We've got that going. Sales tax exempt form, that's something, once I meet with Jake and we have the budget planned out, that'll help me fill that out. So we'll get that going. And that is all we have. So we have the good of the order. Does anyone have anything that they want to bring up or make note of? The only thing I'll say is I'm really excited to have Rachael and Jake on board. I think it's going to be two really great additions to our board. And yeah, I'm excited to have both of you here. So that's cool. And just excited with the way things are moving. I'm excited about the possible rebrand. As soon as we got out of that meeting, now my mind is moving with you, Veronica, I think, and in some ways. So yeah, I think that's kind of exciting. And
Cool.
yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you all very much. Anybody have anything else before we close out? No. All right. Well, that sounds good. Yeah, Missy is having some technical issues. That's why she wasn't able to join us. But I got to talk with her. That's another thing I want to talk with her too, because this is just kind of like an aside, but I'll end the meeting and then I'll talk about this. So does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
A motion.
Second.
Who said that? Jake?
Second. Sorry.
That's right. No, I wasn't looking at the screen. So
Just clearing my throat.
that's all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm gonna come down as opposed. So just fun trip.
Always
Nice.
gotta be the dick.
Yeah,
Always.
I'm outvoted, so
Sorry.
all right. Our next meeting will be July 6th
Sorry
at
about
7
that.
p.m.